They say you should respect your elders. But what if your elder is a gigantic shark? The oldest living vertebrate might just be cruising around the Arctic Ocean. Find out how old a fish can get in this episode of Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy, your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
And I am Carlos.
And we're today going to talk about something that lives in the ocean.
Ooh, there's a lot of things.
There's so many things, but in particular...
I'm being coy, I know what it is.
You're being a coy.
It doesn't live in the ocean.
It doesn't. We're talking about something that is very similar to a koi in that it is a fish.
Sure.
And we haven't talked about a fish yet.
I don't think so, no.
So, do you want to run down the nomenclature?
Take it away.
Sweet. Okay. Well, first of all, okay.
What?
I haven't decided if I like running down the nomenclature and then getting to the common name or starting with the common name.
Let's go with the nomenclature.
Okay.
See if it builds suspense.
Okay.
As people are like, Animalia, I know that one.
Kingdom, Animalia, as that is a given. Phylum, Chordata. Class, Chondrichthyes. I think that's right. Order, Squaliforms. I like that word.
Squaliforms.
Yeah.
Sounds like a storm.
It does. Family, Sonicidae?
Somnicidae, yeah.
Yeah. Genus, Somnisus. And then species, Microcephalus. So its binomial nomenclature is Somnisus Microcephalus. I don't know why I made myself say that word twice.
Somnisus Microcephalus?
That's the one.
Sleepy tiny head. That's what that sounds like. Microcephalus is a condition a person can have.
Yeah.
It means you have an abnormally small head. Huh. It's like a birth defect.
Anyway, this is the Greenland shark, a.k.a. the Gurry shark, a.k.a. the gray shark, a.k.a. Equalusac, which is a word in the Greenland language, Kalalisut.
Wow, you've got a lot of hard things to say in this one.
I'm done now.
Kalalisut?
Yeah.
What was the name of the shark?
Equalusac?
Equalusac.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if Q's work the same in this language as...
We'll assume.
There's no U's, I'll tell you that. So, this is the Greenland shark. It is one of the biggest sharks in its family. So,
isn't it one of the biggest sharks in the world?
Yeah, it's among the biggest sharks there is. But it's the biggest, if not the second biggest. There's one that's very similar in size.
Okay.
I think it's the biggest in weight for sure, in its family. So it's 21 feet on average. 21 feet. It can be up to like
that is
20,
so big.
24-ish or 24 or 26 feet. So 2,200 pounds. At 2,200 pounds, that's heavy. That's a ton and 200 change.
How long is a bus? I wonder.
It's about that.
About the size of a bus.
Yeah. So that's 6.4 meters, 1,000 kilograms. For you non-imperialists. So this
the rest of the world.
This boy is #thick. He is one of the thickest sharks around. And it really looks like squatty. So It's got a short snout, short face.
Hence the microcephala.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't get 100% confirmation on that, but I put 2 on top of 2, and that seems right.
Then you would get 1. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1.
Well,
sorry,
I got one answer.
I just
and
did
it
a
was,
bunch of
but
math.
that is right. So it's got a short snout and also a short dorsal fin. So it's a squatty boy.
It looks like a submarine, an old submarine.
It really does. That's what the shape is. And it ranges from grayish to black, brownish in color. So it's called the Greenland shark because it lives up there in the north, in the northern Atlantic and Arctic Ocean, where it gets pretty cold up in those waters.
Yeah, that's the only ocean I haven't been to.
So it pretty much lives in just above freezing temperatures. So like 2 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And that's where it spends the most of its time.
That seems balmy for Greenland waters.
That's what I read, and they live in like Arctic waters.
Yeah, I feel like it would be below freezing, only kept from being frozen because it's constantly moving salt water.
I think that's why it's that warm. Currents and whatnot.
Well, ocean water's always moving.
Right.
That's why the Greenland shark can just kind of glide around.
I mean, the Arctic is known for its frozen oceans.
Yeah.
Well, not frozen oceans, but it's like the surface.
Yeah. I think that 2 degrees above freezing sounds, I mean, like a nice compared to
dip in the pool.
The rest of the Arctic Ocean.
Well, that's what their deal is, and so they have pretty unique jaws for sharks. Their top jaws are like these pointy, thin, like needles almost.
Okay.
And their jaw, when opened, is pretty circular. You've seen like the jaw of a shark before.
Right, yeah.
It's generally pretty circular. These are specifically very circular. So the top teeth are like these needles, and the bottom jaw are typical shark serrated teeth.
With like the multiple layers and levels.
I mean, there's multiple layers in both jaws.
Oh, okay.
But specifically, the bottom ones have these serrated, typical shark teeth. So when they bite something, especially something large, they will hook onto it with their top teeth and their bottom teeth, and use the bottom teeth to like twist and kind of tear things off. And they'll it's a circular motion.
Okay.
So it just tears a chunk right out of whatever it's eating.
Jeez.
So that's helpful if you find like a large carcass that you can't just swallow whole if you're a shark. So
it's huge shark. It's helpful to not have serrated top teeth?
Yeah, I guess. Because I don't know. Because then you would just shred something instead of... It's like sticking on... Basically, it's like sticking a fork into a piece of steak and then cutting it.
Yeah.
So you've got an anchor and you've got a cutting instrument.
Then all of the sharks just have 2 knives. And they're like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't pick anything up. I can just cut things.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. These guys, they live in the, cold oceans. They are the apex predators of, their food chain, so there's nothing that's eating them. They eat mostly fish, but no one has ever seen them hunt. So we don't know how they hunt, which is interesting because
really?
They have also... What?
No one's ever seen one kill something?
No. I mean, they're really underobserved. This isn't like a tiger where we've seen them do everything. Like, when was the last time you saw a video of a Greenland shark?
Never. I didn't even look at a video to... I figured I would just see a shark swimming around. It wouldn't be super interesting.
Well, you know what you wouldn't see? You wouldn't see it hunting. Because they've also been found with polar bears, seals, mice, and by that I mean moose, reindeer, and horses in their stomachs. So pretty huge land animals. How the heck did they get those?
Is it like a scavenger? Just like the polar bear dies and sinks to the bottom of the ocean?
They think that it might be a scavenger, mostly. And here's why. Its cruising altitude, and by cruising altitude I mean cruising speed, is about 0.76 miles per hour.
That's a sleepy shark.
Yeah, or 1.22 kilometers per hour. So it swims really slowly to conserve heat. Its tail movements and like whatnot are very subtle. So it goes pretty dang slowly. And it can top off at like 1.7 miles per hour.
That's the fastest it can go?
That's its sprint.
Oh, man.
So everyone is like, how do they catch anything? And there's two theories, and they might be a little bit of both. One is that they're mostly scavengers. So a whale carcass, they'll just rip chunks off of that. Mm-hmm. Or like a dead thing just falls in the water and he eats it. But the other thing is they eat seals a lot, and they think that might be an ambush technique. So they'll...
Yeah, because seals are fast.
Right. Way too fast for something that slow to catch.
Right.
So they think that when the seals are sleeping, they'll ambush them.
That's crazy that something that big is that slow. You'd think that just one push of its tail would make it go faster than 1 mile an hour.
Well, something that big takes a lot to push it that far. Push it, fast. So you would spend a lot of energy, and if you spend energy, you lose heat.
But if you're spending the energy to go get some more energy, i.e. your food, I don't know.
And plus they're an ectothermic animal living in the Arctic Ocean, which means, they are not warm-blooded. They don't regulate their own body temperature. Their body temperature is regulated by the environment. And you would think, like, there's no way it could live up there, but it has techniques to conserve heat. And
great white sharks often hunt in the Arctic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Colder waters.
They're free agents.
Yeah, they go wherever they want to go.
Right.
Including Amity Island. Anything else about the shark?
That's shark? Pretty much what I've got.
I have that it's, besides its, the thing that makes it super interesting, is that its meat is toxic. It has a toxin called trimethylamine oxide, or nitrous oxide. And you can't eat it.
But it is eaten.
But what Icelanders do is there's a special way of treating the meat so that you lower the toxin levels.
Huh.
And it's eaten as like a delicacy, kind of like pufferfish. So
it's like, this is really tasty if you're willing to risk it.
I bet you it's not tasty. I bet you it's just like, this is dangerous, so the elite class is going to make it seem tasty. This is dangerous and expensive, so it's delicious.
Take that 1%. Or 9.
Of Iceland.
Yeah.
1% of Iceland's like 1,000 people. Greenland? No, Iceland. It's Icelanders. There aren't a lot of people in Greenland.
Yeah, no.
Even more people in Iceland. I think there's like 500,000 people in Iceland. It's a very small place. Do you want to get to the creme de la creme?
Let's do it.
The coup de grace? So, our friend...
Gary Shark?
Somniasis microcephalus is one of the very few multicentarian vertebrates. One of the very few multicentarian animals. And multicentarian means living for more than 200 years.
Oh, my.
So, I mean, trees live for a long time. Fungi can live for a long time. Coral and all that stuff. But
tortoise? Actually, no.
I don't think they can live that long.
I think they live like, they're centarian. They live for 100 years.
There's a clam called like Mika or something that lived for a really long time. But that's a clam. Here we have a shark, a vertebrate, like this moving, active animal can live for more than 200 years. And the actual lifespan, they've been doing a lot of recent research on this, and it's been over the 20th century that they've had to measure this, and it's still not 100%. But the oldest one that they've tested was 392 years old. And they estimate that the oldest one that could be out there is 512 years old.
Yeah, I saw their estimated lifespan is like 320, give or take 120 years.
It's 392, give or take 100, plus or minus 120 years. So between 272 years and 512. Which is, they don't even reach sexual maturity until they're 150.
Jeez.
That's like every Greenland shark just becomes that old. It's not like, oh, these are outliers. This is how long that this shark lives. And so, like, 512. That's how old they think some out there are. That means it was born in 1506. That means it was born during Leonardo da Vinci's Renaissance. Like, he was painting and sculpting things, and the shark was born. And it's still alive. It's crazy. The Italian Renaissance, Jamestown, Revolutionary War, Civil War, all the way up to right now. It's been through everything and hasn't noticed a thing because it's been at the bottom of the Greenland Ocean. But, like, it's crazy. And the way that they have been, scientists have been doing this, usually when they want to see how old an animal is they count the rings in its teeth or its vertebra. Because each year, another layer of cells are ossified around the bone and cartilage. Well, actually more bone, not cartilage. So that you can count the rings and find out how old something is. But that's just not the case for the Greenland shark. They don't develop rings. So they started looking at their eyeballs, the lens over their eyes, and measuring the amount of carbon-14 that had been infused into its eye. So it was using radiocarbon dating. But still it's not super accurate just because there's a mix of all these different kinds of carbon in a living thing's eye, or a recently deceased thing's eye. So what they did was they tried to find a marker. And back in the 50s, mid-50s, the US and the USSR were blowing things up all the time. They were going to like atolls in the middle of nowhere and just setting off nuclear bombs to test them. And so these sharks would absorb some of the carbon-14 that was a radioactive result of these nuclear bombs. So when you look at a shark's eyeball and you see like an abnormal amount of carbon-14, you know that it was alive during that time. That's their, I guess, assumption, but a strong assumption that like this thing has a lot of carbon-14, which doesn't really occur. It occurs naturally because of like cosmic radiation, but not in that abundance. Mm-hmm. So that must have been artificially given to the shark. So we'll say that it was alive during the
1940s.
The 50s.
Oh, 1950s. So, would it have to be near that atoll? Or would, like, currents just take the...
I think it's, like, that general hemisphere of the ocean or something.
But isn't that the Pacific?
No, it's the Atlantic.
I didn't know that they blew stuff up in the Atlantic.
I guess they did. I didn't look up exactly where they were blowing stuff up.
They did have stuff in full-on Greenland, so never mind.
I'm not an expert on the nuclear testing sites of the mid-century. But so that's their best marker. They call it a bomb pulse, which is super cool. If a shark has a bomb pulse, that means it's older than what you'd have to be 63. I think a 63-year-old shark now would have a bomb. Well, if a shark had a bomb pulse, that means it's at least 63 years old. So they use that to measure how much it grows per year, assuming that it has a standard rate of growth. It's like a python that just keeps growing until it's dead.
Right.
They found out that it grows about 1 centimeter per year, just about. So you can pretty much determine how old the shark is based on how big it is. So a 24-foot shark, which is like 6 meters? Am I doing this wrong?
Where do they start,
No,
though?
that's like 7. Oh, they start at 42 centimeters. That's how they're born.
Okay.
So if you have like a 6-meter shark, which is 600 centimeters, minus 42 from its being born, it's 558 years old.
That's ridiculous. So have you looked into, like, how they live that long?
So they have some theories, but they have no idea, really. It's like shots in the dark. Some geneticists believe that it's kind of a combination of things. One being that it's cold. Cold preserves things. That's the basic thing. But that also leads to them having a really slow metabolic rate.
Right.
Which things that live longer usually have slow metabolic rates. They don't it takes them a long time to turn food into energy. So they use less energy, and that all contributes to senescence.
Yeah.
Which it means getting older, aging.
So there's two basic principles that age a person. One of them is metabolizing things, digestion.
The other is
moving.
Oh.
So if you want to live forever, like, slow down your metabolism and stop moving.
Because the things that live the longest don't move a lot. Which
Right.
is tardigrades, tortoises, clams, and the Greenland shark.
Tardigrades move a decent amount, but they're also tiny.
Yeah, they don't expend a lot of energy.
So they think that because of the fact that it has a really slow metabolism, A, and B, the fact that it moves so slowly and so, like, subtly, that those two things contribute to its longer lifespan.
And then there's one more thing, is that this seemed like junk science if I had ever seen it, because it wasn't explained at all, because the word anti-aging genes sounds like something from a science fiction film that was just written off as jargon. But no, apparently there are anti-aging genes.
So that's like a pair of jeans that makes your butt look really good. Even when you're
a pair
old.
of like just good Levi's.
These are my anti-aging jeans. They lift.
Well, there are caps on the end of your chromosomes called telomeres, and each time your cells divide, those telomeres become smaller or shorter, and the shorter your telomeres are, the more aging symptoms you're going to exhibit. So maybe this is something that preserves the telomeres. Maybe this is something that continually regenerates them or something. But it's apparently activated by cold. These anti-aging genes activated by cold. This is sounding ridiculous to me, but apparently this is what they're thinking. It helps them fold proteins. It helps them fight. It's like it works as an antioxidant, so it fights those.
That's another thing.
Molecules that attack cells and damage
Oxygen
them.
is bad for you.
Apparently, yeah, and
It
it doesn't
causes
do a whole
aging.
lot of that. Although the cold waters are rich in oxygen, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they are rich in oxygen, rich in nutrients. Cold
Which is
waters
good for,
krill.
breathing. Or
but it's bad if you. But I mean, you'd think that the Greenland shark gets more oxygen than, say, like a tropical fish.
Right. But if it has things to counteract that, then that's good.
Right.
So you don't have to be, like, your breathing isn't labored, but in their case, not breathing. Ooh, the wheels are turning. So they move really slowly, and sharks breathe, quote unquote, by moving through the water and having the water pass over them.
And go filter through
Their
membranes
gills.
that take oxygen out.
Right. So fish can, like, move their gills so that it, forces water over it.
Right.
But sharks don't have that. They have to keep going.
Right.
That's why sharks can't stop.
Right.
But these guys move so slowly. So it's a good thing that they live in oxygen-rich water.
Because if they didn't, they would suffocate.
Right.
Because they don't move fast enough to move enough water through their gills.
But don't take my word for it. That's my theory.
All right, LeVar Burton. So yeah, apparently these anti-aging genes also stave off disease. So they preserve cells, they fold proteins, whatever that means, and they stave off disease. All of these things combining with the fact that it's cold, preserving, and also the low metabolic rate makes it so that these sharks can live through the ages. That's got to be so boring. I mean, I guess it'd be more boring to be like a clam, but they don't have like a central nervous system or a brain or anything like that. But sharks do. They
have a reward center.
Sure.
Which is probably activated when they eat.
I can't see what else would reward a shark more than eating something.
Pats and scritches.
Just flip that shark upside down and scratch it on
and
its
then
stomach.
It passes out, because that's what happens to sharks. You flip upside down.
And that you're also stopping them, so that means they're suffocating. Unless you're like fanning water over them. But this is this is remarkable. So there are some critics to this that don't think that these numbers are accurate. Obviously, that's understandable because of the dating methods that they have. It's like, well, we think that this shark was like, because based on this random spike in carbon-14 was alive when a nuclear bomb was detonated near it. And then kind of measuring its growth from then until now, and then assuming that it has a static rate of growth over its lifespan.
Right.
There's a lot of assumptions there. But I think it's awesome.
What they need to do is just find a young one and put a stopwatch on it.
Well, they did tag one in 1936 and then pick it back up in 1952. And then...
Was it still living?
Yeah, it was only 20 years.
Well, I mean that we confirmed that it's at least 20 years old.
Yeah.
That's at least its lifespan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do reach sexual maturity at 150. That's apparently gospel truth.
Okay.
Which is that. I mean, that the fact that it either reaches sexual maturity like really late in life, or that's its midpoint.
Right.
Which that doesn't even seem like its midpoint. That's like, I'm not an adolescent anymore. It can't even have.
That's its bar mitzvah.
Or bat mitzvah.
Right.
Depending, they're female sharks.
Sure, of course there are. That's the only way this is going to work.
Right. But yeah, apparently female Greenland sharks can't have offspring until they turn 150 years old.
Wow.
So,
like a regular Sarah.
What?
Sarah. Like Sarah and Abraham.
Oh, okay. If you had said Sarai, I would have known what you were talking about.
Oh, Sarai.
Real.
Sarai about that.
So do you have anything else?
That's pretty much
about
it.
The Greenland shark? About some Neosis microcephalus?
Nope.
Well, if you want to download all of our episodes, you can go onto iTunes and just type in Life, Death, and Taxonomy, and you can download all of our episodes for free. Take them on the go. It's the best way to listen to them. And also, while you're there, please leave us a shining review.
Uh-huh. I don't want any of these matte finish reviews.
No. It needs to be gloss enamel.
Semi-gloss at the least.
And I guess for the Greenland shark, I can't even say death, can I? It's just life, blank, forever life. Life, death, and taxonomy.
Uh-huh. I'm sure they can starve.
Sure. They don't die. They're immortal. Hey everyone, and welcome to the end of Season 1 of Life, Death, and Taxonomy. Thank you very much for listening. Tune next week as we hit Season 2 up. For now, we want to give a special thank you to some people who have helped make this possible. Megan and RJ from Oh No Lit Class, some of our personal podcast friends, have given us a shout out and been a real great help on this podcasting adventure. Mackin from the Species Podcast. If you want to hear more about the Greenland shark, in fact, you can listen to his Greenland shark episode. It's very interesting. You can't stop talking about that animal. It's just the coolest. Also want to shout out Paul and Donna and their Varmints podcast, another podcast about animals, and just being engaging on Twitter and giving us advice and being great friends. And lastly, but not leastly, we want to give a big thank you to Brian, our artist, who's been coming up with the bestiary and all of the cool drawings that he's come up from that.
Absolutely. Also, we have a few people to thank for giving us ratings and reviews. That is tremendously helpful. Mm-hmm. Getting us the more we get, the more likely we are to, get up there in the iTunes charts. It's a far cry, but it's a hope, it's a dream. But here are some of the people to thank: C. Childs 4102, the brown one's mommy. I wonder who that could be. Lord Brosidon, Jesse Rasp. I wonder who that could be. A series of numbers, who I think is Andrew, our friend. Taylor DL, I think is how you pronounce him, his name. And he's been really active on Twitter as well, so thank you for that. And then ERive22, I wonder who that could be. Old School Ninja, which is Mackin. Musical Buccaneer, I wonder who that could be. It's Megan. And Ems Rivera, I wonder who that could be.
All of our reviews are unsolicited.
They are indeed. 5 stars.
But if you want to get our podcast on the go and leave a review, the best way to do that is to subscribe on iTunes or whatever podcast app you use. Overcast, Stitcher, Podbean, all of them are great apps for this. All of our episodes are there. You can download them and listen to them outside of Wi-Fi.
That's correct. Also, if you have episode ideas or animals that you think have these amazing abilities that you would like to hear us cover, just hit us up for Season 2. We are LD Taxonomy everywhere, including Gmail, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yes.
And that's a wrap.
Stay tuned for Season 2 coming up next week.
That's right.